One of the special aspects of the Steamboat Institute, of course, is the work we do on college campuses with our Campus Liberty Tour. And in this work, and in visiting campuses and getting to know university administrators and professors and students, it became obvious to us a few years back that there was a lot of courage out there that deserves to be recognized and rewarded. That is why Steamboat Institute started the Courage in Education Award a few years ago, when we awarded the first Courage in Education Award to Bruce Benson, who was then the president of the University of Colorado. The Courage in Education Award is granted each year to an institution or member of academia who demonstrates a commitment to open inquiry, free speech, and intellectual diversity. Traditional ideals of higher education, which have been usurped in recent years in favor of identity politics and free speech restrictions. The Steamboat Institute is proud to award the 2020 Courage in Education Award to Hillsdale College in recognition of the courage and leadership displayed by the college in educating students on America's founding principles and in standing strong for justice and equality. Hillsdale's recent statement on the principles of equity and justice, upon which the college was founded, is an example for other universities to follow. This letter was published in the Wall Street Journal on July 21st, and you can read the full text of it on page 11 of our program. Rather than cave to public demands for cheap virtue signaling, Hillsdale College has set a standard for staying true to its principles, which provide the best opportunity for solving the grave problems facing our nation. We were also inspired by Hillsdale's refusal earlier this summer to cave to demands by the state of Michigan to cancel their graduation. They went forward in a responsible way with an outdoor event with social distancing and face masks and all of these protocols, and sure enough, 2 weeks later, there were no new cases. So Steamboat Institute found great inspiration. Yes, that is worthy of applauding. We found inspiration in that as we tried with all our might to keep this year's Freedom Conference on track. And I owe a debt of gratitude to Matt Spaulding, who I'm going to introduce here in just a few minutes, and to Hillsdale College and all of the leadership of Hillsdale College for the inspiration, because that helped keep us going in a very difficult summer. Past recipients, in addition to Bruce Benson of the Courage in Education Award, include Samuel Abrams, professor of politics and social science at Sarah Lawrence College in New York, Wallace Lowe, president of the University of Maryland, Brandon Van Dyke, assistant professor of government and law at Lafayette College, and as previously mentioned, Bruce Benson. And now, even though he could not be with us in person, I would like to play a special video message that was recorded for us by Dr. Larry Arnn, president of Hillsdale College.
My purpose is to say thank you. Great honor to be honored by you. Honor, you know, requires more from the giver than the recipient. And we are greatly honored to be recognized by you. We know a lot about you because our students are always wanting to go to your fellowships and internships, and through the process of recommending them for that, I've learned a lot about your great work. The only bad thing I know about you is putting Matt Spaulding on the board, but that is hereby forgiven. I was in Steamboat Springs on a motorcycle this summer, and if I'd known this date, I would have come out there and come to your event, wherever it is, and also visited your place. I'll do that next time. I just want to say about the courage for which you congratulate us, that when somebody congratulates you for courage, it always makes you afraid. There's been a lot to fear this summer. It's not been the typical college summer. We've been on riot duty and pandemic duty. We managed to have a 2,800-person commencement on July 18. That required us to acquaint the governor of Michigan with the fact that she cannot pick and choose among First Amendment activities. And so she never agreed to it, and she criticized it, but she didn't do anything about it. So we had it, and that's a big triumph, we think, because the kids really love to have commencement. They're supposed to. And then riot duty. Just waves go through the nation of Black Lives Matter and all that. And we were pressed, including by some alums, I'm sorry to say, not many, but some, to make a statement about that. And we don't do that, except we thought, hey, this is kind of fun, let's make a statement. And we did make one, and there's just a distinction that needs to be made, and that is, if it's true that we are formed to serve principles that are high and even perfect, it also must be true that you'll never serve them perfectly. This being the world of human affairs. The college is in that world. The college makes mistakes. The college does wrong things. But that's not the point. The point is, we were abandoned to change the principles. And we look back across the history of the college, just like the history of the nation. And we find that the principles of the college, which are the same as the principles of the nation, have accumulated a very large body count of people who have fought to preserve those principles. And so we would be shamed and ashamed of ourselves if we were to part with those principles in any way. And so we won't, and I know that you won't. And that's how we will save our country. God bless America.
To accept the Courage in Education Award on behalf of Hillsdale College, I'd like to introduce my fellow Steamboat Institute board member, Dr. Matthew Spaulding. He is Vice President of Washington Operations and Dean of the Van Andel Graduate School of Government for Hillsdale College's Kirby Center in Washington, D.C. It's worth noting that Dr. Spaulding's daughter just started her freshman year at Hillsdale, where two of her required courses are the Constitution and Western Civilization. And she's also taken an elective course, Introduction to Shotgun. Matt, please come on up. Get a photo photographer here. Okay, set this down here for you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jennifer. It sounds like some of you liked our non-statement statement. Since 1844, Hillsdale hasn't discriminated its students by their color, and we're not about to start now. We've also, thank you. And every year without fail, including during the Civil War when most of the male population of the school was off fighting, we still held commencement. We did during the First World War, during the 1918 pandemic, during the Great Depression, and the Second World War, and so we did again. This past weekend, we held Convocation, which is a ceremonial opening of the college, which will be in person, I might note, with all of our faculty, all of our students, and all of the new parents in attendance, including ourselves. Why do we do these things? In the fall of 1939, Nazi Germany was beginning to sweep across Western Europe. And as another group of students prepared their semester, an Oxford Don wrote that every student who comes to a university must at all times face a question compared with which the questions raised by the war, this is the Second World War, mind you, the war are relatively unimportant. Why do we spend time on such comparative trivialities as literature, art, and history? The great C.S. Lewis continued, he thought the war against Germany a righteous cause, mind you, but he noted that the war creates no absolutely new situation. It simply aggravates the permanent human situation so that we can no longer ignore it. Human life has always been lived on the edge of a precipice. Human culture has always had to exist under the shadow of something infinitely more important than itself. If men had postponed that search for knowledge and beauty until they were secure, the search would never have begun. we're mistaken when we compare the war with normal life. Life has never been normal. Even the most intense things around us, C.S. Lewis tells us, must fail to absorb our whole attention because they are finite objects and therefore intrinsically unfitted to support the whole attention of the human soul. Like you, we do these things not out of defiance, though we are always prepared, in this case, fully loaded and prepared to go, to challenge the violation of our rights. We do these things because we love and for what we live for. We do stand in defiance to those who assert there is no truth, nothing good, and that beauty is merely relative. Hillsdale does these things and teaches these things because they define the college and because they define what it means to be a human. We could do no less or any different, and then we will fight. My friends, if we wish to conserve and perpetuate our great heritage, we must cling to the truths of the human soul, cultivate the good of man, and see the beauty that is all around us. These are the enduring things that give us the fortitude and confidence in the midst of the wars of our times to replenish what Washington called the sacred fire of liberty, staked on the experiment entrusted to the hands of the American people. On behalf of Hillsdale College, its faculty, its students, alumni, supporters, I thank you for this honor. God bless you. God bless Hillsdale College. God bless America.